And now, the best 60-ish seconds of your week.
And I'm here at the 106th Pennsylvania Farm Show, truly the greatest show on earth, and a magnificent expo of Pennsylvania agriculture, the state's #1 industry, which supports over $100 billion in economic activity, employs more than 300,000 people directly, and another 300,000 indirectly. You know, they say it always snows during Farm Show Week, and it did again this week. Not that unusual, might be if it was held in the middle of July, but being held in mid-January, nevertheless, it did snow, and I'm standing in front of the famous butter sculpture. Half a ton of Pennsylvania butter used to make this magnificent sculpture that people come from all over the world to see. And before we get down to public policy, let's talk about what really matters, the NFL playoffs. And both Pennsylvania teams are in, setting up the possibility once again of an all-Pennsylvania Super Bowl. Think about that and what would happen in those 2 intervening weeks between the end of the conference championships and the actual Super Bowl, were Pittsburgh and Philadelphia both to make it in. It would be epic. Now, the Philadelphia Eagles were already in before last week's game against the Dallas Cowboys, where they played their second and third team guys, but they managed to come out with a scoregami, a word I'd never even heard before last weekend. What it is a score that's never been recorded in NFL history. And a 51-26 final is kind of tough to come up with on both sides, given how football is scored. Little point of interest there. But the real interest was on the western side of the state, where there were a very few scenarios under which the Pittsburgh Steelers got into the playoffs. But they managed to do it. Despite the fact that they had a tie in regulation, they managed to win out over their arch rivals in overtime, setting up a situation where only another tie, and let's face it, ties are very rare in the NFL. There was only one all season involving Pittsburgh and the Detroit Lions, and it would have required the Chargers and the Raiders to tie. And so what happened at the end of regulation? They were tied. They went into overtime. And for almost the entire overtime period, it stuck on tied, and it actually looked like it was going to end that way. But with 3 seconds to go, field goal puts the Steelers into the playoffs and the potential for an all-Pennsylvania Super Bowl. So let's hope that neither one of our teams blow it early and that we get to see something we've all been looking forward to. And this week, another gubernatorial debate. This one in western Pennsylvania, in Newcastle, in the beautiful Masonic shrine there, cathedral. And only 8 candidates were on the stage this time, leaving some to wonder, inquiring minds, where the other folks were. But it settled out again as a really interesting evening, where the candidates who were actually on stage talked a lot about Act 77, and some of the folks who had voted for Act 77 but weren't necessarily there that night to defend that vote. I took on another issue, saying that I would not have voted to confirm Rachel Levine as Pennsylvania's health secretary, something some of those missing from stage just might have done. We're going to have a lot of gubernatorial debates. I think they're great for the process. I think they give the voters a chance to see up front and personal what the candidates are really like, how they handle pressure, and how they respond to questions directly put to them. So I'm looking forward to being on stage for a whole lot more. And I'm looking forward to getting back here next year for the next edition of the Pennsylvania Farm Show, truly the greatest show on earth. But for now, that is the best 60-ish seconds of your week.